okay. It's okay.
Namaste everyone, welcome. My name is Mahesh Kukara. I'm the chairperson for the Shiva Vishnu Temple. Welcome to day 2 of the Bhagavatha Sapthaham Pravachanam by Sri Dushyanth Sridhar. Yesterday, it was wonderful to see an excellent participation from our congregation. And well, it's warm welcome to all of you to day 2 of the Bhagavatha Sapthaham. Thank you for joining. It's my pleasure to welcome back Dushyanth Sridhar for day 2. Thank you. And this is also being done as part of our Mahotsavam this year. This year's Mahotsavam is for Sri Ananthapadmanabha. Mahotsavam will be in August. It's a 5-day Mahotsavam, August 7th through August 11th this year. And there is the detailed information on the religious program on the website. And also we have the brochures in the back of the auditorium on the table. So feel free to take one of those and sponsor the pujas for the Mahotsavam. We certainly need your sponsorship and assistance and help to make it a very, very successful program. Thank you very much. And also thank all of the board members that are here and all of the congregation to make this happen. All of the volunteers, all of the employees that put a lot of effort into making the Saptaham here and also the Mahotsavam happen. Thank you and welcome.
Before I commence, if there are some empty chairs in the initial rows, please do fill them up. And 3 or 4 of them who can sit for about 2 hours here on stage are also invited here, because if we have elderly people join us later, we have limited chairs. But whoever comes should not move for 2 hours from here. No wash, no restroom, no fiddling with the phone.
Phone, please. If you don't mind putting it on silent mode, please. Thank you.
रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः। पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं। पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम्। सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमिदं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भस्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः पुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे। हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावळी लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लावितोऽहं तदनु तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशम् तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुख रसास्वादरोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विलसदुपनिषत्सुन्दरी मण्डलैश्च बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रबलेनोपता वेणुनाळीं प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां कृत्वा वक्त्ररविन्दे सुमधुरविकसदरागमुद्भाव्यमानैः शब्दब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरितभुवनैः सिञ्च सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथीं योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलम् नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे Pavanapurapate Krishna Karunya Sindho Krishna Karunya Sindho Kritva Nisheshatapan Pradishatu Paramananda Sandoha Lakshmi Ajñātvāti Mahatvam Yadiha Nigadidam Vishwanatha Kshamethaha Stotram Chaitat Sahastrottaram Adhikataram Tvatprasadaya Bhuyat Vedhanarayaniyam Shrutishu cha janusha stutyata varnanena Sphitam leelavatarairitamita kurutam Ayurarogya saukhyam Ayurarogya saukhyam Janaki kanta smaranam Janaki kanta smaranam Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Namasadase Namasabhaye. With the abundant blessings of Shri Avpati Paramatma, we have all been fortunate to gather in this very premises of Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple, Ananthapadmanabha Swami Temple. And this Bhagavatha Sapthaham has been arranged as an upodghatam, an opening, an inauguration to the Ananthapadmanabha Swami Mahotsavam Vaibhavam, which is to happen in the month of August. This month, which is called Adi in the Tamil calendar, interestingly is referred to as Ramayana Masam in Kerala. But the beauty is, around the same period, I spoke about Ramayanam 2 years back. In Kerala, there is a saying, in Malayalam, there is a saying, two sets of people, or two sets of beings, have to be agreed upon, or their statements have to be accepted as the very truth. So the saying in Malayalam is Kili chonnadum, Kulandai chonnadum, Pillai. Kili, which is parrot. Yesterday we had the opportunity to discuss Shuka, and we also discussed the process of parroting, repeating. Kili and Kulandai. Kulandai is child. Srimad Ramayanam was written by Valmiki. He composed. He taught them to the sons of Rama called Lava and Kusha. Lava and Kusha, having learnt the Ramayanam as a kavyam from their Acharya, Guruvarya, who is Valmiki, go village after village singing the glory of Rama. Of course, not cognizant of the fact that Rama and Sita were their very own parents. We sing Sitamma Mayamma Shri Ramudu Maku Tandri. We sing, but those boys weren't aware that Shri Sitamma Mayamma Shri Ramudu Maku Tandri. Finally, they reached the Sabha Mandapam of Rama in Ayodhya. And Rama listens to the composition called Ramayanam, composed by Valmiki on his life, sung by his very own children. So Ramayanam is truth because it was uttered by the children. So Malayalam says, believe in what the children say, which means believe in what Lava and Kusha say, believe in what Ramayanam says. On the other hand, the saying also says, believe in what the parrot says. Parrot is Shuka, Vyasa's son is Shuka Brahmam. So Shuka Brahmam parroted what his father Vyasacharya taught him. So what Vyasacharya taught his son Shuka is Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is the truth as well. So Kerala says, believe in what the children and Shuka say. Children said Ramayanam, we believed in 2022 August. Because I spoke about Ramayanam in this very premises in August 2022. Believe in what the parrot says, July 2024. So in this Saptaham series, why is it Saptaham? Why is it 7? We answered the circumstances that led to the birth of Bhagavatam. Because Rishi Kumara had pronounced a curse on Parikshit that he shall die at the end of 7 days. So how to spend those 7 days usefully? 24 cross 7, that is when he went and sat by the banks of river Ganga. The son of Vyasacharya called Shukabramam Tam Dvayashtavarsham Sukumara Padam, he came and explained and answered the volley of questions that were thrown at him by Parikshit. This compendium of questions and answers, Parikshit's questions, Shuka's answers, this compendium is a roughly around 18,000 shlokas housed in 12 chapters called the Skandams, called Bhagavatam on the whole. So Bhagavatam is a compendium of questions and answers answered in 7 days. So we are doing a Saptaham similarly to commemorate that recitation of Shuka. But there is a difference. He did it 24 cross 7. We are doing it 2 hours per day, which is 14 hours. So what is the learning? Learning is I will have to skip and miss many portions. So this Bhagavatam, if at all you've been listening to it for the first time, let this be your beginner, appetizer. This is your introductory course, CFA level 1. So if your mastery over Bhagavatam is receiving the charter, you have to do 2 more levels and listen through many more acharyas. If you have already listened to Bhagavatam, this is just going to be a revision. Bahuda Shrotabhyaha, Bahubhya Shrotabhyaha. Yesterday we discussed about the greatness of Shrotra Vailakshanyam, the greatness of the listener, Parikshit. There is another point here. Uttara was the mother. Tara Shabdeti, in Sanskritam, Tara. Tara means comparative in nature. We learn of 3 degrees of comparison in English grammar: positive, comparative, superlative, good, better, best, tall, taller, tallest. If it is more than 2 syllables, 3rd chapter Renan Martin says, add more and most. So beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful. 2 mark question, 2nd standard. 2nd grade here. So, this is what we learn. Where to add ER, where to add EST, where to add more, where to add most. Comparative is when Sajatiya Vastu is of 2 in nature. In Sanskritam we call it Sajatiya Bhedam, Vijatiya Bhedam, Swagata Bhedam. Don't think I'm introducing too many words. If you have a pen and a book, I'm sure you don't have to note it down. If you believe that you can grasp like a sponge, please listen. So, Sajatiya Bhedam, Vijatiya Bhedam, Swagata Bhedam. Let us take, there is a neem tree. There is a mango tree. Neem tree and mango tree belong to the tree category, but the binomial nomenclature is different. This is a neem tree, that is a mango tree. At the end of the day, they are trees. So they are of the same jati, but there is a difference in that jati. So we say Sajatiya Bhedam. Amongst the same jati, there is difference. Vijatiya Bhedam. For example, I stand below the shade of a neem tree. I belong to a different category. I am from the Homo sapiens. They belong to the tree category. So that will have a plant cell. I will have an animal cell. That will have a cell wall and a cell membrane. I won't have a cell wall. I will just have a cell membrane. So these are the differences which we note down. So I am different from the tree. So it is called Vijatiya Bhedam. Vijatiyam, if I am standing below the tree. 2 trees comparison, Sajatiya Bhedam. Let's take the neem tree. The neem tree has a trunk, it has roots, it has branches, it has leaves, it has flowers. You know, there is something called neem flower. We call it Vepambu. Right? So the flower is different from the leaf is different from the twig is different from the branch is different from the trunk is different from the root. So in the same vastu there are differences. That is called Swagata Bhedam. Swagata, Sajatiya, Vijatiya, all that I am telling you is a part of the Nyaya Shastram. Whenever you learn Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa, you'll come across all these words. If you're going to learn Bhagavad Gita, all these words are important because Krishna gives you the PhD level knowledge. Generally, when somebody says, I'm reading the Gita. Gone. Bhagavad Gita is not the book that you should even touch when you have not learned the basics of Ramayana and Bhagavatam and Bharatam. If you want to know Sanatana Dharma properly, if you want to relish it, cherish it, have learnings, takeaways, don't start with the Gita first. Gita is a very high level. When he talks about Karma Yoga, Sthita Prajna, it is not something that you can understand. Don't think by reading few pages of English translation you've got it. It is not easy. Don't think I'm trying to dissuade you. I'm telling you the right mode. Itihasa Puranabhyam. Begin with the Ramayanam. Continue with Bhagavatam. Read Vishnu Puranam. Learn Mahabharatam. Learn the Bhakta Charitram, Bhakta Vijayam. Then when you read Bhagavad Gita, for every verse you will have an associated example. Krishna doesn't make it easy. In the 9th chapter, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, he says Guhya Tamam. This Vidya Arjuna that I am telling you in the 9th chapter, Idam tu Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. He says this is the king among secrets. Rajaguhya Tamam. Now, some time back, about 2.5 minutes back, I said Tara means comparative. You remember? Tama means superlative. ER is Tara. EST is Tama. So who is the best amongst men? Purushottama. We use the word Tama there. Correct? So this Tama Shabdam is best. Utpurusha. Purusha. Utpurusha. Uttara Purusha. Uttama Purusha. Says Krishna. Jiva Paramatma is different from Achetanam. So he is Purusha. He is different from the bonded Jivatma. Utpurusha. He is different from the Muktatma. Uttara Purusha. He is different from Nityatma. Uttama Purusha. So Tama is superlative. Tara is comparative. So when I say Parikshit's mother is Uttara, she must be better than someone. Who is that better? See, there are one set of mothers. The feedback should increase slightly. So, one set of mothers. Let us take Kaushalya. Kaushalya was fortunate enough, blessed enough to carry Sakshat Paramatma as Rama in her Jataram. Kamban, the Tamil poet says, Urupagal Ulageram Udaratul Pudindu Arumarekka Arum Avanai Anjana Karumugil Kurundu Yudil Katum Sodiye Tiruvura Payarandanal Tirangol Kosalai Shutrattar Devarudum Todanindra Kosalayai Tudunoki Kutrattar Kurishil Ivar R Yen Guhanvinava Kogavegan Mutrattan Mudal Devi Muguragum Nindranai Munnindranai Petrattal Perum Selvam Yan Pirandadal Turanda Periyal Yendran. This is Kambar. What a fortunate lady. She carried Sakshat Bhagavan Shriyapati in his Rama Avataram in her Jataram. So she is a respected mother, Kaushalya. That is why Vishwamitra, while waking up Rama, also says Kausalya Supraja, the blessed, the good son of Kaushalya. In Krishna Avataram, Devaki, Shatahlada Bandhuraya Svakantya Sanjati Jambudana Bimbakalpa Trayanta Yugmena Rasayanena Kalena Bheje Kaladhauta Lakshmi. She had the fortune to carry Paramatma in Krishna Avataram in her Jataram. Kaushalya had the bhagyam to carry Rama, Devaki had the bhagyam to carry Krishna. On a lighter vein, in those days, kings used to sanction and patronize poets who used to write Sanskrit poems about their lives. There was one great king called Prataparudra. Prataparudra was a great famous king in the Kakatiya dynasty. So Kakatiyas ruled the current day Telangana centered around its Rajadhani called Ekashila Nagaram. ఏకశిలా నగరం సంస్కృతంలో ఉన్న శబ్దం. ఏకశిల అంటే మీరు తెలుగు భాషలో అనువాదం చేస్తున్నారంటే ఏకశిల ఒరుగల్లు. అది తర్వాత సమయంలో వారాంగల్ అయిపోయింది. ఒరుగల్లు వారాంగల్లు ఏకశిల. So this Ekashila Nagaram was the Rajadhani of the Kakatiyas. You have a university also there called Kakatiya University. So one of the very acclaimed kings of this region was Prataparudra. In that clan came one lady, very famous lady, Rudramma Devi. They had one Raja called Ganapati. They constructed the Ramappa temple, which is now a UNESCO site. So this Prataparudra initiated, sanctioned a project, commissioned a project that talks about his life history. So the poet wrote, and this work was called Prataparudriyam. So while praising Prataparudra, the poet says, he has to praise the king, then he won't get his salary if he doesn't. So he says, Kausalyayai Prathama Janani Devaki cha Dvidiya Vishnur Mata Tadanu Vasata Mummadamba Tritiya. Paramatma was born as Rama to Kausalya, then as Krishna to Devaki, and finally as Prataparudra to Mummadamba. Kausalyayai Prathama Janani Devaki cha Dvidiya Vishnur Mata Tadanu Vasata Mummadamba Tritiya. So Paramatma chose to be born as Rama to Kausalya, as Krishna to Devaki. So Paramatma's birth gave so much of happiness, mirth to certain women. On the other hand, Bhagavan's devotees, Bhagavatottamas, were born to fortunate women. Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram. He was born in Kaladi to a very devout lady called Aryamba. Astam Tavadiyam Prasuti Samaye Durvara Shulavyata Nairucham Tanusoshanam Malamayi Shayyacha Samvatsari, says Bhagavatpada and Matrika Panchakam. So Aryamba was fortunate to give birth to a great devotee Acharya like Adi Shankara. 1000 years back in the beautiful hamlet of Sri Perumbudur, Kantimati gave birth to Bhagavad Ramanuja. Vedanta Deshika celebrates this Acharya. Upavitina Murdhvapundravantam Trijagat Punyapalam Tridandahastam Sharanagata Sarthavahamide Shikhaya Shekharinam Patim Yatinam. When Ramanuja, with that gigantic personality and height and that magnetic effect to pull devotees, walked on the streets of Srirangam, people would throng. So to give birth to Ramanuja like Acharya, Kantimati must have been fortunate. So was Totaramma, who gave birth to Vedanta Deshika. So on one side you have mothers who gave birth to Bhagavan, Kaushalya, Devaki. On one side you have mothers who gave birth to devotees, Bhagavatottamas, like Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, Vedanta Deshika. But this lady, the wife of Abhimanyu, at one point in time she carried Parikshit and Bhagavan in her garbham, because Bhagavan went into her garbham. So at one point in time she carried both Bhagavan and Bhagavatottama, which the other mothers didn't. So she was better than the other mothers, so she was called Uttara. Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we come across one question. Bhave Shilavatam Sreshthe Daksho Duhitrivatsalaha Vidvesha Makaro Tasmat Adrityatmajam Satim Kastam Charachara Gurum Nirvairam Shanta Vigraham Atma Ramam Katham Dveshti Jagato Daivatam Mahat. The question is, Shiva, Shankara, Shankarotiti Shankara, Shiva is so merciful. Why should Daksha hate him? Was the question. It was a big scandal in those days. Daksha Yajna. Daksha had many daughters. For every father, their daughter is a star. For every father, their daughters are stars. For Daksha, stars were his daughters. All the Nakshatram were his daughters. Revati, Uttarattadi, Uttarapurushtapada. They were all the 27 Nakshatras were the daughters of Daksha. So for him, all the stars were his daughters. So you will say Revati, Swati, Uttarattadi, Uttarada. He married all of them to Chandra. So you can take this in an ecological, probably a cosmic way as well. Chandra is married to all the stars. But his most favorite star wife was Rohini. She was the one who used to accompany him to all page 3. parties. Rohini was spotted in organza with a Banarasi brocade with Chandra. That used to be the tagline. The other nakshatras felt very bad. They went and complained to their father, Papa, ye kya hai? Sabhi jagah to Chandra Rohini ko hi leke jate hain. Hame nahi leke jate hain. Swati ro rahi hai. Revati bhi ro rahi hai. Aur Shravan bhi ro rahi hai. Then Daksha advised his son-in-law. Which son-in-law will listen? So, immediately, he cursed his son-in-law. Kshayarogam. So he said, you shall face this waxing and waning every now and then. This Daksha had a daughter called Sati. She was the most trusted and favorite daughter of Daksha, so she was called Dakshayani. So this Dakshayani wanted to marry Shiva. She was hell-bent in marrying Shiva. But father was opposed to it. But using some article 53F and 54B, she exercised her right. And she married Shiva and she went to Himalayas. Daksha was against it. In one such round table conference where all of them had gathered, when Shiva was seated with Brahma, and Daksha entered that Sabha Mantapam, Shiva did not rise from his seat. So did Brahma. Brahma also did not. Shiva got angry and he started abusing Shiva. Daksha got angry and he abused Shiva. Yashagnaha, Nirapatrapaha, Markatalochanaha, Ashuchaye, Maniye, Pretavaseshu. For everything, the channel started putting beep, 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 beep. All abuse. That is when Daksha said, this Shiva who did not rise when I entered the Mantapam in the Yagam shall not get Havirbhagam. Ayam tu deva yajanam indropembradi bhirbhavaha sahabhagam nalabhatam devair devaganadhamaha. If you notice all the Yagams that you do, your Purohita will tell, whenever the name Rudra comes, he will tell, touch water. See, when we are doing that Yagam, our concentration is never there. If he says touch water, we'll touch. Why? Because Rudra lives in Smashana Bhumi. When you go to Smashanam and come back, you have to take bath. So you have to touch water. So these are all subtle things. When you tell Prajapati, you have to tell it in your mind. All this your Purohita will tell. Now when Daksha cursed Shiva, Shiva's Ganas, they got perturbed. They said, Enga Talavar Solitar sir. Namma Talavar Solitar sir. All sir. So they immediately Nandi cursed Daksha. Buddhaya Parabhidhi Puravidhyaya Inya Vismrutat Magatif Pashuhu Strika Maha Sotvitataram Daksho Bastamukho Chirat. Towards the end of this yagam, you shall get a Bastamukham, a goat's head, he said. As this was said, Bhrugu cursed. Now there was curse for curse, tit for tat. After this, Daksha wanted to avenge the humiliation that he was meted to, and in Haridwar Kshetram, he performed Brihaspati Savam. This is a yagam. So there is a Vajapeye Nashtva Brihaspati Savam Yajeta. There is a Shastra Vakyam. So after performing Vajapeye Yagam, there is one yagam called Vajapeyam. And there were many practitioners of this yagam both in the Uttara and Dakshina Bharatam. And if they were practicing it regularly, they would have the surname as Vajapeyi. That's why we have Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He technically belonged to a family who did Vajapeyi. He didn't do. Politics. They used to perform Vajapeyi Yagam. So for this Yagam, Daksha had invited everyone but Shiva. Shiva would have not known and he was not bothered about it. Even Sati did not know. But Sati had a WhatsApp group. Immediately Shachi Devi, Bhuma Devi and all message, Aaj tum aa rahi ho Shachi? Sati? Kick her. Papa kuch kar rahe hain yaad, tumhe nahi bulaye the kya? Immediately she got perturbed. And then she fought with Shiva and left. From now on you will get that full TV. Dakshayani, Inga Bogindrai. You will get that entire screen. From now on, you will get those dialogues running. So Sati went, she questioned her father. She said, see, you have got Sakshat Mahadeva. Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha Gyataishu Shivatama Shivam Babhuvate Danuhu Shiva Sharavyaya Tavataya No Rudramridaya. So Rudram celebrates Shiva. You got Mahadeva as your son-in-law. You should be happy. Take a selfie with him. Instead you have not invited him. Very bad papa. And then what she did, and Daksha was not ready to listen. She sat in yoga. And in highest form of yoga, there is an Agni that your body will generate from the within. See, medical practitioners will know. Bleeding doesn't mean only external. Bleeding can happen internally as well. Generally, if you tell a non-practitioner, bleeding means they'll think it will come outside. It doesn't have to come outside. It can be internal bleeding. Agni doesn't necessarily mean external fire. It could be Agni within. That is why we say Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. There is one fire within us. Where did the fire come from? Internal. Right? So we have a fire within. That is why, what is that? Niruppuda. So that Agni is there within us. That fire has to be ignited. So Sati, Dakshayani got that fire ignited and that fire consumed her body. So she did not go and fall into fire. That consumed her body. But later during the Islamic invasions in Bharatadesham in Rajasthana, the Rajaputa Patni, they all, to escape the invasion, they used to go and fall into fire. So people immediately called this Sati. But this Sati, what we know, gave her internal fire. Now Shiva got angry. He created one Veerabhadra. Veerabhadra came and beheaded Daksha. Then Daksha Patni said, please give life. Then he took the head of the goat and attached it to Daksha's body. Full of plastic surgery here. So then Daksha felt remorseful. He asked for Kshamapanam, Prayaschittam. The Sati was dead. All this happened. Sir, you are telling Bhagavata. Suddenly, where did this Daksha Yajnam come? This was a question. But why is Daksha Yajnam said? That is a beauty. But the three answers in Narayaniya. I told you, Brihaspati Savam Yagam was initiated. Did that get completed? No. Because between this, all this crime scene happened. So nobody completed that Yagam. Whenever you begin a Yagam, you have to complete it. If you don't, there is a lot of sins that is associated. Let us not go there. But you have to complete that Yagam. Daksha began the Yagam. But who completed? That is when Narayana came and completed the Yagam so that the other generation is not affected. Kruddhesha mardita makhasya tu krita shirshaha devah prasadita haradata labdha jivaha tvatpurita kratuvarah punarapashantim sattvam prashantikara pahi marutpuresha. So, Daksha Yajnam is a simple reminder that abuse is never allowed in Sanatana Dharma. The higher you go, you should keep yourself away from these abuses. If somebody is abusing, you should not listen. So, and then you should always take up a responsibility and have the will to finish it. In that Yagam, some people will begin with resolution. New broom sweep well. Whatever you begin, complete. So Daksha Yajnam is a simple reminder that even Paramatma gives us that message. Now I told you yesterday that Shatarupa and Swayambhuva had two sons. 3 daughters. We discussed Devahuti, we discussed Daksha now. 2 sons, one son was called Uttanapada. Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suruchi and Suniti. whenever such narrations come, most of our kings will be polygamous. They will have multiple wives. And I will receive multiple mails. Why did he have multiple wives? My standard answer is, he didn't consult me before marriage. I cannot justify what that king did. Nor can I don't have to necessarily abuse him or character malign him. I am here to tell you what is there in the Pustakam. Yes, he had multiple wives. That is why we celebrate Rama, because Rama was very different from his forefathers and his successors. He had Ekapatni. It was very, very different. That is why many of the politicians in Tamil Nadu are not able to digest. They are okay with Krishna. Even the place they choose will be very related to Krishna. Krishnapuram, Gopalapuram and all of that. But they are not okay with Rama because Rama is against their own ideals. Because Rama oru sol, oru vil, oru il. So, Uttanapada had two wives. Suniti and Suruchi. This was very conservative by the king's standards in those days. Suniti had a son called as Dhruva. Suruchi had a son called Uttama. But he was very unlike his name. He was Anuttama, not Uttama. Uttanapada Nrupader Manunandanasya Jaya Babhuva Suruchir Nitaram Abhishta Anya Sunitiriti Bhattur Anadrita Sa Tvameva Nityamagati Sharanam Gata Bhut. One day this Suruchi's son Uttama went and sat on the lap of his father Uttanapada. Any normal incident it is. Son went and sat. Father embraced him, cuddled him, patted him, motivated him, praised him. He did everything possible what a father could do with a child. His other lap was empty. So a little boy who was older to Uttama by a few months called Dhruva. He was seeing his brother receiving such love. He thought, why shouldn't I be a recipient of such love? He came running from behind the pillar and went and sat on the father's other lap. Somebody held the boy's neck from the behind. This boy felt it a bit hurtful. He just turned. You think you can receive the same love as your brother from your father? You are not fortunate enough. You are not born of me. I have not mothered you. It is that wretched Suniti who has given birth to you. And you want the same love as your brother. How so very selfish of you. Get off your father's lap. You were not born of me. Navatsan Nrupater Dhishnyam Bhavanarodhumarhati Nagrihito Maya Yastvam Kukshavapi Nrupatmajaha Tapasaradhya Purusham Tasyaiva Nugrahena Me Garbhe Tvam Sadhyatmanam Yadichasi Nrupasanam. If you want the same love what your brother gets, then go do your tapasya. Ask Paramatma that you should be dead and you should be born as my son, and then you can receive it. These were the words uttered by Uttama's mother Suruchi to Dhruva. How were those words? Imagine you take a trident which is made in cast iron. Throw that into a smelting furnace which is heated at a very high temperature. Leave it for an hour or so. It will be red hot. Take that red hot cast iron made trident and insert it into somebody's ear. What will be the pain? The same pain was incurred and experienced by Dhruva when he heard the hurtful words of Suruchi. Sa patni madayau suruchi chekarna shulamaina matanu వీలను సురుకలతాళక శ్రీహరిని ధ్యానించి సుఖింపగలేదా ఎటు కనకన రుచిరకనకవత్స పత్ని మాతయౌ సా పత్ని అంటే కో-వైఫ్. Sa patni ma patni is kalatra. See, there are paryayavachaka shabdams in Sanskritam for the word wife. Bharya, kalatram, patni. Kalatra is wife. Patni is wife. Sa kalatra, sakalatra, co-wife. Sakalatra is sakalatri, sakalatti. In Tamil you must have heard, right? Sakalatti. Sakalatti is sakalatri, co-wife. Sapatni Matayo, that co-wife, Matayo, she was also the stepmother. Suruchi che, varu peru Suruchi. Sapatni Matayo Suruchi che. What did she speak? Karna Shulamai. Her words were like Shulam to Karnam. Karna Shulamai Namatanu. Varu Matu, her words were like as hurtful as the Trishoolam to the ear. Did that hurt the boy? Surukkala. In Tamil we say Surukkunu kuttithu. Surukkala. Could the boy withstand? No. Talaka. He couldn't bear it. What did he do as a result? Shri Harini Dhyaninchi. As a result, he propitiated Hari. Then what did he receive? Sukhim pagaleda. He got derived happiness as a result. Yadu kana kana ruchira. Tyagaraja's Pancharatnam is a treasure trove. Unless and until we realize the beauty of the Sahityam, if we make it mechanical, Sapatni Matayau Suruchiche Karna Shulamaina Matanu Viranu Surukalatadaka Sriharini Dhyaninchi Sukhim Pagaleda. There should be an emotion, right? Sapatni Matayau Suruchiche Karna Shulamaina Matanu Surukala Talaka Sriharini Dhyaninchi Sukhimpagaleda. A Sukha Shabdam Chaptunna Samayam, you should really feel that Sukham. Sukhimpagaleda. Sukhimpagaleda. Ade. Sukhimpagaleda. See, Tyagaraja, when he converses with Rama, Rama, you're not talking to me. I feel so dejected, demotivated when you don't show your full moon-like face to me. Why don't you talk to me? Tyagaraja cries, Nagumo Ganaleni Najagali Telisi Nagumo. There is dukkha. Nagumo Ganaleni Najagali Telisi. Tyagaraja, if he sits in your audience, he will be wondering, what did I write? What is this man doing? See, every kriti in Shastriya Sangeetam is a PhD. You have to get into it. It is not mechanical learning. I've gone to this Aradhana, I've sung, I've got a certificate. No. Every kriti is a tapasya. You have to get into that kriti to realize. Parakuseyakavarayaki Nivale Devamulokamulo Galada Purani Shukapani Madhukara Veni Sadashivuni Kirani Saroja దళనేత్రి హిమగిరి పుత్రి పరాకు సేయక వరదాయకి నీవలె దైవము లోకములో గలదా. దెర్ ఇస్ నోబడీ లైక్ యూ. పురాణి శుకపాణి మధుకరవేణి సదాశివునికి రాణి అంబే సరోజ దళనేత్రి. You should talk with that devata. It is not about just the technicality. So this boy was extremely hurt. Now, another question. Bhattatri asks in Narayaniyam, why did Suruchi have to say such hurtful words to a child? What made her say? He gives an answer. Dushyanthyaja khalu bhavad vimukhaihi asuya. When jealousy overtakes your generic emotion, that jealousy will get manifested through such words. நாங்க 4 பேர் ஒன்னாதான் படிச்சோம், அவன் 3 பேர் நன்னா இருக்கான். See, that jealousy, that person is better than me, that jealousy will manifest itself through such words. She thought Dhruva was much talented than her son, so she will always wait for an opportunity to taunt Dhruva. Dushyanthyaja kalu bhavat vimukhaihi asuya. But why did jealousy come to her? Because Bhattatri says, Krishna, she was not devoted to you. When there is no devotion to you, that non-devotion translates into jealousy. Jealousy translates into hurtful words. Now the boy was hurt. He went and told his mother Suniti. Suniti cried and said, Anya janma kritaiv punye suruchyam suruchir nripaha bharyeti prochyate chanya madvidha punyavarjita. My dear son, don't think that I am in cloud 9 when I am with your father. He is as hurtful as your stepmother is towards you while he is towards me. But one thing I can tell you, my son, at times they say that your father and mother's bad karma affects your children. I am worried that my bad karma is affecting you, my dear child. You've been asked to bear and shoulder that dukkham because of your mother. I don't have a solution, my dear son Dhruva. Dhruva said, I aspired for my father's love, which I didn't receive. I want a love which will be eternal from an eternal father. So his objective now became high level. He said, I don't want this father. Uttanapada is waste. I want somebody better than Uttanapada. Nanyat dattam abhipsami sthanamam basvakarmana ichchami tadaham sthanam yanna prapapita mama. So, this said, the boy went out of his sabha, palace. Vishnu Puranam says the boy encountered 7, the Sapta Rishis, whereas Bhagavatam says the boy came across Narada. Marichi said, Anaradhita Govindair Narair Sthanam Nrupatmaja Nahi Samprapyate Sreshtham Tasmad Aradhyam Achyutam. Yasyanta Angiras says, Yasyantaha sarvame veda achyutastyava atmanaha tamaradhaya govindam sthanam agram yadichasi. So all rishis have one thing to say. Aradhaya govinda, aradhaya harim, aradhaya achyuta, go pray Narayana. That is when Narada says, dharmarthakama mokshakhyam ya iccheshreya atmanaha ekameva hares tatra karanam padasevanam. Pray to Hari. The boy then leaves for the forest. He is barely 4 or 5. And Suruchi told our children, like child like this, you are born of me, you are not born of me. Our father, child would have said, same thing. Dhruva took it to heart. He goes to the forest. He goes to Madhuvanam. You know what is Madhuvanam? Ekkada undi Madhuvanam? Very good, Madhuvanam. That is one Madhuvanam in Ramayanam, in Sundarakandam. Hanuman takes all the Vanaras to Madhuvanam. That was a small vineyard investment property of Sugriva to escape long-term capital gain tax. So he bought. Very good. That is one Madhuvanam. Another Madhuvanam. Bihar. Nitish Babu will be happy. Any other guesses? Maryland, sir. Vrindavanam, you have come very close. Very good, Mathura. Mathura in Puranam is called Madhuvanam. Remember this. Later, earlier Shatrughna ruled this. Then there was Lavanasura, Madhu. All this comes in Uttarakhand. Now, Mathura is Madhuvanam. What is Madhura famous for? Madhura. See, Madhu is honey. So it was earlier called Madhura. Then Unani Sutram was used. Then it was made Mathura. Mathura is famous for two things. Peda and Petha. Peda दूध से बनती है. तो दूसरा है Petha. That is made from pumpkin. Both have sugar. HbA1c 8.5. So, he went to Mathura. In Madhuvanam, Dhruva performed intense austerities, tapasya. At the end of 3 nights, for 1 month, at the end of 3 nights, he used to consume badara juice and kapita juice. He was following some dietitian. Now they say red quinoa, brown rice, tofu, then almond milk, oatmeal milk. So, he had badara juice and kapita juice. Then the second month, at the end of 6 days, he used to have dry leaves. See, in Sanatana Dharma, in Hinduism, as a religion, suicide is not the correct option because Atma belongs to Bhagavan, so does Shariram. Sharira Sadhyam, say Shastram, this Shariram also belongs to Bhagavan. So you have technically no right to commit suicide. You have to retain the Atma within your body. That is why they say even when you don't have food, you can consume dry leaves because leaves will have some nutrition consumed. When we offer flowers to Bhagavan, they have to be fresh flowers, fresh leaves. But there is an exception in Shastram. Tulasi alone can be dried and stored for years and they can be offered. Tulasi has that. So Tulasi, leaf is parnam in Sanskritam. Parna, patra, these are all words for leaf. See, after Dakshayani leaving her material body, it is believed that she was born as Parvatavardhini to Himalaya Raja. Astyuttarasyam Dishidevatatma Himalayo Nama Nagadhi Rajaha. She was the daughter of Himavan and Manorama. Mother name was Manorama or Mena. Again, Parvati was in love with Shiva. If at all she wanted to marry only Shiva. So she performed intense austerities. That is when the mother felt, see, for marriage, why do you have to undergo so much of austerities? Mat jao. Don't do. Mat jao. Don't do. Uma. Sanskritam Uma means don't go. So mother said, Ma, Uma, don't go. So her name is Umam Haimavatim. So she went into the forest, she performed austerities. She was so strict in austerities that she said, even to sustain the existence of the Jivatma in my material body, I will not consume the leaf. Leaf is Parnam. Since she didn't consume the Parna, she is called Aparna. So Aparna, Uma, but this boy consumed dry grass, leaves. Then he drank water. 3rd month he drank only water at the end of 9 days. Abhakshaha. Then next month, Vayu Bhakshaha, only Vayu. Then he stood motionless. Tava tapopala niruchavasite digante devatitastava mudayat tat karunadrachetaha Twadrupa chidrasa nilina mate purastat avirbabhuvita vibho garudadhirudaha. So, as this boy observed his austerities to Narayana, one day Narayana appeared. Garudo Pari, he came on Garuda. Shrivatsankam ghanashyamam purusham vanamalinam shankachakra gada padmair abhivyaktas chaturbhujam. Looked so beautiful. Moon-like countenance, giving nectarine rays, makara kundalam. Bhattatri says in Narayaniyam, his cheeks looked as if an emerald mountain was cut and scooped and placed on either sides, and 2 layers of butter was applied on those cheeks over the emerald thing, and that would reflect the gem-studded fish earrings in his ears. Balendu Panthin. So he says, Neelabham Kunchitagram Dhanamamalataram Sayyatam Charubhangya Ratnottamsabhiramam Valaita Mudayaschandrakaihi Pinchajalaihi Mandarasrang Nividam Ghana Pruthukabaribaram Alokayeham Snigdha Shvetordva Pundram Apicha Sulalitam Phala Balendu Vithi Bala Indu. Crescent moon inverted was his forehead, it seems. Every description of Bhattatri, Krishna is so beautiful. So he appeared. Now when Narayana appeared, immediately Dhruva opened his eyes. He was choked with emotions because he was hurt by his stepmother Suruchi, not entertained by his father Uttanapada's helpless mother Suniti, waste brother Uttama. None of his family members were supportive of him. When he was choked with emotions, Bhagavan took the Shankham, kept it on his lap, and with that palm that used to hold the Shankham, he touched Dhruva's cheeks. That very second, that Shokam that he had became a Shlokam. Shokaha Shlokatvam Agata. Then he did a stuti to Bhagavan called as Dhruva Stuti. He said, Sahasrasirusha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sarvavyapi Bhuvasparshat Atyatishthad Dashangulam. Bhagavan embraced the boy, he hugged the boy, he kissed the boy, he said, I am your father from now on. Don't worry. You were always thinking of me, Dhruva. So I give you a boon. In this world from now on, remembrance will be called after your name. So remembrance in Shastram is called Dhruva Smritihi. So from now on, you shall be my more trusted devotee. You go back, your father will show you love. And Dhruva went back. Uttama was caught in some scam. Then he released his brother. He fought with. There is a lot of incidents that happened. Here, Dhruva Charitram has a takeaway. The takeaway is, not everybody will bequeath a family full of love. For them, for some parents, children will not be very conducive or very supportive enough. For some children, parents will not be supportive enough. For some brothers, their own siblings will not be supportive enough. Do we see such examples? Yes. Father is not supportive enough. For Prahlada, Hiranyakashipu was not supportive. Jeshto Bhrata Pitru Samaha was brother supportive. For Vibhishana, Ravana was not supportive. Will brothers fight? Yes. Sons of Dhritarashtra and sons of Pandu fought. Will wife be extremely supportive? No. In case of Kaikeyi's mother, she was not supportive of Ashwapati. Kaikeyi's mother was Putana square and Shurpanaka cube. So she was not supportive. Will the Pati be supportive? No. Take the case of Ravana. Mandodari is a Panchakanya, but her husband was not supportive. Life will be full of such surprises, shocks, ups and downs. In such cases, do what Dhruva did. Adopt Narayana in that place. He was satisfied. He came to terms. My father is like this. So Narayana is my father. That's all. If we keep asking why me, why me, why me, aisa mujhe kyun ho raha hai? When others are all happy at home, why should I sit and listen here? You can't do anything. You have to come for the next 5 days. So, why me will never give you an answer. Instead, keep Narayana in that place. So, this is Dhruva Charitram. Next is a very interesting Charitram. This interesting Charitram is a lesser known Charitram. It has many takeaway points. I told you about Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa yesterday at about 8:40, and today I told you at the starting. You remember? 2 sons were discussed. Uttanapada and stand up on the bench. Uttanapada and Very good. Priyavrata. So in Priyavrata's descendants came kings like Agni-Dra, and through them came Nabhi. Nabhi and Meru Devi performed a yagam and they received Bhagavan as their very son in an Amshavataram. He was called Rishabha or Rishabhanatha. Rishabhanatha, through his yogic powers, was extremely beneficial to his praja. And his regime, administration was blemishless enough to bring copious rainfall at the right time. Once Indra, who was extremely jealous, the Puranic Indra, lot of FIRs. He will steal horses, he will misbehave with Ahalya, but no action will be taken on him. He had very good political connections. So, Nabhipriyaya athameru devyam tvam mamshato bhut rishabhavidhanaha aloka samanya guna prabhava prabhavita shesha jana pramodaha. Indra refused to command his clouds, those which were under his jurisdiction, to cause precipitation in the region ruled by Rishabhanatha called Ajanabhavarsham. There were no rains. So receiving no rains, copious rains, sufficient rains at the right time is a sign of bad administration. Ativarsham, Ativrishti, Anavrishti is treated that way. That is why Muthuswami Dikshita went to Ettayapuram and sang on the Ragam Amritavarshini. Shri Nandanadi Samrakshini Shri Guru Guha Janani Chidrupini Sananda Hridaya Nilaye Sadaye Satya Sudrishti Hetave Tvam Santatam Chintaye Amriteshwari Salilam Varshaya 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 Ananda Amrutava Karshini Amrutavashini Haradi Pujite Shive Bhavani. No rains. That is when Rishabhanatha, through his yoga shakti, brought rains to Ajanabhavarsham. Immediately Indra felt very bad and got his daughter Jayanti married to him. So this Rishabhanatha and Jayanti had many sons. The eldest of them was Bharata. Bharata was the eldest son. Later he had many sons. There is another Purana called Adi Purana that talks about another wife to Rishabhanatha called Sunanda. Sunanda had a son called Bahubali. Of the names that you have said, this is the only name we know. Bahubali. This Bahubali went into the forests in Dakshina Bharatam and performed penance through a yogic posture called Kayotsargam. And this Bahubali had lot of creepers growing around him. He was called by the locals as Gomatha. That is why in Dakshina Bharatam, near Hasan, you have got a place called Shravana Belagola. He is called Gomatheshwara. He was erstwhile Bahubali, son of Sunanda and Rishabhanatha. This is mentioned in Adi Purana. I'll tell you how all this connection comes into place. Through Jayanti, he had a son called as Bharata. After giving away the Rajyam, the reins of his kingdom, to his eldest son Bharata, Rishabhanatha leaves his kingdom as an Avadhuta, shedding away all his clothes, going as an Avadhuta sannyasi, place to place, preaching and professing a set of postulates or aphorisms which were later collated into a religion called Jaina, as we know as Jainism today. So this person went from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, parts of Maharashtra, and settled in the lower part of Karnataka. As he would go place to place, he adopted some of the salient features of certain animals. He would not move from one place to another seeking food like a python. He would its eye like the crow. So he lived the life of those animals and finally was killed in the forest fire of Kutakachalam. Kutakachal is Coorg, Kodagu. He died there. That is why Jainism has lot of roots in Dakshina Bharata. Bhattatree mentions Shayuvratam Gomrigakakacharyam Chiram Charannapya Param Swarupam Dabahrutangaha Kutakachale Tvam Tapan Mamapa Kuruvatanatha. So this person who went away from his kingdom place after place as an Avadhuta is called Rishabhanatha. This Rishabhanatha is the first Tirthankara of Jainism. The 24th Tirthankara who finished that circuit was Mahavira of the 5th century BCE. So Jainism has its roots even in Bhagavatam. But their aphorisms are completely antithetical to Sanatana Dharma. It's called Saptabhangam. Syadasti, Syad Nasti, Syadasti cha, Nasti cha, Syad Avaktavyam, Syadasti cha Avaktavyam, Syad Nasti cha Avaktavyam, Syad Asti cha, Nasti cha Avaktavyam cha. These are the 7 postulates of Jainism. So, now why did I tell you all this? This Rishabhanatha, who is the Amshavataram of Narayana, is the founder of Jainism. How do we know that? I don't know if you have got to hear some temples built in white marble between the 11th and the 14th century in the hills of Bhrigutunga. Have you heard of Bhrigutunga? Mount Abu. Mount Abu is called Bhrigutunga in the Aravalis of Rajasthan. There the temples are called Dilwara. If you go to the temple, you will see Rishabhanatha seated like this. In his chest, you will see Srivatsam, because he is an avataram of Narayana. So this connection what Bhagavatam has with Jainism is something that you all have to know. Now, I told you about Rishabhanatha giving the reins of his kingdom to his eldest son called Bharata. Vishnu Puranam says that India is called Bharata because of this Bharata. Mahabharatam says India is called Bharatam because of Dushyantha's son Bharata. My son was so famous. So, that Bharata. But this Bharata, who was the son of Rishabhanatha, he too, like his father, relinquished all the comforts and the riches and went by the banks of Gandaki to a very high altitude mountain called Shalagramam or Muktinath in Nepal. In Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, we hail 108 Divyadeshams. One of them is Shalagramam. Kalayum, Kariyum, Parimavum, Tiriyum, Kanam, Kadanduboi, Shirayum, Kanayum, Tunayaga, Shendran Vendri, Sherkalathu, Malagon, Talani, Tanegatti, Malainir Kundu, Valarakan, Talaivan, Talai Patum, Aruthuhandan, Shalakiramam, Adainenje, says Tirubangayalva. Beautiful Divyadesham. It is believed that there were many fossils as stones, and there is a insect called Vajrakitam that goes within the stones and makes different shapes. That is why in Prachina Kalam, Madhvas, Vaishnavas, Smartas, when they used to go to Muktinath, they will bring Shalagrama stones. And they will ask generally, is this Matsya Murti, Kurma Murti, Sudarshana Murti, Venniradai Murti? They will ask all these questions. So the Shalagrama stones come from there. Ittham Dhrita Bhagavad Badayene Yajina Vasasanu Savasana Bhisheka Dasgat Pishakutila Jata Kalapena Javirochamana Surarcha Bhagavantam Hiranmayam Purushamujjihane Surya Mandalam Abhyupatitetu Udamho Vacha. So this Bharata was extremely engrossed in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, thinking of Bhagavan. 24/7 he established an ashramam by the banks of river Gandaki in the kshetram called, it is in the country Alerta. So he went, he did dhyanam, always engrossed in Bhagavad Dhyanam. One fine day he saw a pregnant doe being chased by a tiger. That doe, when it was crossing one boulder to the other, hit its belly on the boulder, and the child slid from its amniotic sac and fell into the torrential waters of Gandaki, thereby falling on a leaf. The doe escaped, the tiger followed, but this child was about to die. That is when, looking at this scene, taking mercy on the newly born one, Bharata took a plunge into the waters of Gandaki, retrieved that newly born dear child and brought that one to his ashram. Now he had to give A2 grass-fed organic milk to this child. So he bought that milk and started feeding this child. So 24 hours dhyanam became 23, later 22, later 21. Because you have to keep wheels on the bus, go round and feed this deer. So all this happened. So slowly his dhyanam time came down. Now this deer kept on growing, as naturally, like how every other animal would. And when it reached its teens, it left Bharata and went into the forest seeking the other deers. But this man was always thinking of his childlike deer. பாலூட்டி வளர்த்த கிளி பழம் கொடுத்து பார்த்த கிளி நான் வளர்த்த பச்சை கிளி ஓச்சே. So this Bharata, when he was thinking of the deer, when he was thinking of it, his Atma left his body. Krishna talks about this in detail in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Arjuna, for the practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, which is called sadhana or upasana, when the manas is focused on someone or something, when the Atma departs from the body, that Atma shall become that. It is called Tat Kratu Nyayam. When the Atma is leaving the body, you think of a nurse. Because if you are in the ICU, think of the nurse. You will become the nurse. This is what Tat Kratu Nyayam says. Whatever you think of, you will become that. So here Bharata was thinking of the deer, the care and probably the protection of the deer whom he had nourished and nurtured. His manas was engrossed in the deer. When the Atma left this body, what did he become? The deer. In Karanja Parvatam, he was born as the deer. This is not something very unusual or something that needs to be delineated, but what makes it special is 1 in a lakh Janmas can remember their previous Janma. Vishnu Puranam gives them a name, a technical name called Jati Smaraha. Jati Smaraha means people who remember their previous Janma. That may happen 1 in a lakh. I am not. See, what we had yesterday for breakfast also we don't remember. Where will we remember our Purva Janma? In the Saturday, they don't have it. So, such people are very rare. Just because you are not one, I am not one, we should never discard this concept, because Kanchi Paramacharya used to take this concept very often. He used to say, looking at one artist, that you were a sculptor in your previous Janma. He gave him the name Shilpi. So previous Janma, Jati Smaraha. So this deer was able to remember its previous Janma as Bharata, went back to Shalagramam, stayed in that ashramam, meditated on the Vedas, thought of a Brahmana reciting the Vedas and left its body. Then he was born as a Brahmana. When he was born as a Brahmana, he was extremely filled with Atma Jnanam. Very well learned in the quintessential knowledge of the Vedanta. So much so that he was absolutely detached from the worldly attachments. But his family and the kith and the kin taught him to be very different, mentally challenged. So they said, you are as bad as a Jada Vastu, immobile Vastu. So they called him Jada. He was called Bharata 2 Janmas back, Jada now. So Jada Bharata was the name of this man. Jada Bharata was very well built. He never used to concentrate on eating. That is why you see, whenever people look at me, they will keep lot of food. I may look big, but I don't eat much. They won't believe. See, some people, I don't know, Purva Janma Karma, we look at somebody eating, we'll put on weight. Our body constitution is like that. Some people will keep eating. but they will remain thin. I don't know how. Some people will look at jalebi. HbA1c will be 8.5. Some people will keep on eating sweets, low sugar. So, this Jada Bharata, this is the only Samyam similarity that I have with Jada Bharata. He was also well built. Looking at him, very well built, fleshy. Some Upasakas of Kali took him, spotted him in the forests of Haryana and took him to the cave to be sacrificed for Kali. You know that they throw that turmeric. Jada Bharata was not moved. He showed his head. Kali appeared and said, if you kill him, I will kill you all. He's a great Upasaka, don't do any harm to him. And then he was left into the forest. That time, a king called as Rahuguna Maharaja took an expedition from Sindhu Sauvira Pradesham to Kapilopadesham. Sir, whatever you say is nice, but how will we remember these names? That is why I say write it down. Sindhu Sauviram. Sindhu Sauviram is the lower part of Pakistan, Sindh region, where you have the Sindhu Nadi, Karachi, we call, right? So Karachi area is all Sindh region. Sir, what do we know about Karachi? Today we know only bakery, Karachi bakery. But Karachi was centered in the Sindh region, and Sindh region was very famous for nourishing and nurturing war horses. Hence, horses from Sindh was referred to as Saindhavam. So for Mahabharata Yuddham, Saindhavam horses come. And the king of that time, in Mahabharata times, was Jayadratha. Jayadratha was the husband of Dushyanta, who did apacharam to Draupadi, and that is why he loses his head. Because you're able to relate to Mahabharata, that is Sindhu Sauviram. Upper parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan were also very good in taming horses. That is why the kings of those regions, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Jalalabad, that region was called Kekeya. Kekeya later in the Mahabharata times was called Gandhara. Gandhari, Shakuni came from that. That Gandhara, Gandhara, Kandara became Kandahar, if you have heard. So the kings of that region were also very good in horse training and nurturing. Hence they were given the surname Ashwapati. Ashwa. Shwa is not there in Persian language, from Sumerian language. You have only Fa. Ashwa became Afgha. That's how you have that region as Afghanistan. Right? Ashwa is the root word. So Ashwapati Raja used to rule there, lot of horses. How do we know? In Ramayanam, when Bharata comes back to Ayodhya, his maternal uncle Yudhajit sends 400 dogs and 1600 horses as gifts along with him. There is one shloka in Ramayanam. So often when we don't discuss geography and history together, we will not understand it in the current day perspective. See, in Udyoga Parva of Mahabharatam, alongside Duryodhana, you know who gave that army? Chinam. There is a word in Udyoga Parva. China army came and helped. Duryodhana, there is a mention in Udyoga Parva. Chinam Shukaihi, says Kalidasa and Raghuvamsha, Kumara Sambhavam. He says the flag was fluttering high in the sky as soft as Chinam Shukaihi, which means China silk. Kalidasa mentions China silk in Kumara Sambhavam. China is mentioned in Udyoga Parva. We should have a very high... See, when we take up a work, we should have a very research-oriented mind. When Pahlavas came and fought Kaushika, when Vashishta called in Ramayanam, Pahlavas were the earlier names of Iranians. So this is all very important when we take the perspective of Shastra. Now from Sindhu Sauviram was the king called as Rahuguna Maharaja. Rahuguna Maharaja wanted to take an expedition from Sindhu Sauvira Pradesham towards Kapilashramam. Kapilashramam is the current day Ganga Sagar. Have you heard of Ganga Sagar? We have heard only Shanti Sagar. Now Bengaluru ನಮಗೆ ಶಾಂತಿ ಸಾಗರೇ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಸುಖ ಸಾಗರೇ ಗೊತ್ತು, ನೀವು ಏನು ಗಂಗಾ ಸಾಗರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? So all of you know Shanti Sagar, Sukh Sagar. So what is Ganga Sagar? Very good. Where river Ganga meets the Bay of Bengal is called Ganga Sagar. It is south of Calcutta. And in Ganga Sagar is an ashramam for Kapila ashramam. That is where Bhagirath brought Ganga and gave emancipation to his ancestors, Sagaraputra. So from Sindhu Sauviram, the Raja wanted to go to Ganga Sagar. I don't know if you know the map of India. He wanted to take this line. He had to cross Ikshumati. Ikshumati is a tributary of the erstwhile Saraswati river in Haryana. While he was crossing in a palanquin, Shibika, one of the Shibika carriers developed some symptoms. I don't know, some casual leave or sick leave he took. So they were in need of one more Shibika carrier. So the other Shibika carrier spotted this Jada Bharata and said he seems to be suffering from good health. So let us bring him. Shreya kimatra samsare. They said, come here. Jada Bharata came. Lift. He lifted. He didn't react. But it was just that period of late monsoon, so ants were forming lines to go into their burrows. To not stamp on them, trample upon them, this Jada Bharata jumped. Every jump of his would give Rahuguna Maharaja within the Shibika 6.5 Richter scale earthquake. He moved that screen and spotted corn hair. Yaradu. That is when he spotted this man and said, why are you jumping? Do you feel the pain of carrying my Shibika? You are quite fat. You are tall. What gives you that pain? He asked. This man replied, Jada Bharata said, I am neither fat. I am neither thin. I am not the career. The body is. Immediately Rahuguna Maharaja said, stop. He got down and prostrated at the feet of Jada Bharata. He said, I don't have to go to Kapilashramam to get my questions on Vedanta answered. You can answer this. Then he throws a volley of questions as to what is the Jivatma, what is the Shariram, how is the Shariram different from Jivatma. This conversation between Jada Bharata and Rahuguna Maharaja is a very, very treasured portion of Bhagavatam. So this Jada Bharata Charitram has a lot of takeaways for us. What is the takeaway? Just because we don't spot and we are not amongst them, it doesn't mean people will not remember their Purva Janma. There is something called Vasana carrying. See, you may spot 1.5, 2-year-old kids recognizing ragas. It is not possible to just train the child. There is some Purva Janma Vasana that the child is carrying. 2-year-old children, if you give them a paintbrush, they will draw. As if they were a mature artist. How? There will be a Purva Janma Vasana. Some will remember. See, I am sure voracious readers here will be acquainted with Dr. Brian Weiss, who has written One World, Many Masters, Many Lives. He talks about how the concept of remembering the past and the concept of karma theory comes. When rishis say, we won't believe. When Brian Weiss says, we will believe. So read that book. So, Jada Bharata Charitram is a beautiful reminder. There was a place called Kanya Kubj. Kanya Kubjam is current day called as Kanauj in Uttar Pradesh. In Kanauj, Kanya Kubjam lived a person called Ajamila. This Ajamila had mastered different branches of the Veda and the Vedanta. He was to lead a very pious, disciplined, seasoned, cultured life. But after having married, produced many children, he went into the woods and one day spotted a woman, a hermit woman in the forest, fell in love with her, expressed his love and started living a very illicit affair, extramarital affair with her. He produced children with her. They were on and on, children were produced. I'm sure elderly people here will be able to relate to. I think your children, grandchildren can't even understand. If you say that we were 6 brothers and 4 sisters to one mother, they will ask. Because that means incessantly she has to keep producing. Year after year there will be production. I'm sure this children of Dvaita or Advaita, Dvaita means 2 children, Advaita means 1. They can never understand. 10 children, 12 children, 14 children. And invariably, the last child will be called Mangalam. She would have put a full stop to the production process. Rajiva Nayana Tyaga Raju Nikini Nama Rupa Mulago Nitya Jaya Mangalam. Or the girl will be called Shubha. Shubham. So this last child born to the hermit woman and Ajamila had to be given a name. Ajamila, though he was extremely well versed in the Vedanta Bhagam, had relinquished all of it. He was completely into her love. He wanted to give the boy a name. What name to give? He searched, he hunted in Google. He asked Siri. He asked Alexa. Alexa, what name to give? Alexa gave a few names. Kim. She said Kim. Why Kim, Alexa? She said, this is Vishnu Sahasranama Nama. Eko Naika Savaka. Kim. Kim is the name of Bhagavan. We don't give. North Korea, they give. So, somewhere Sahasranamam has travelled. So, what name to give? That is when he said, why don't I give the name Narayana to him? See, we should not make a mistake in its pronunciation. It is Narayana. It's not Narayan. Wrong. Big 0 in Sanskrit you will get if you answer this question is Narayan. Because Nara plus Ayana is Narayana. There is one Panini rule for this. Purva Padadu Samnyaya Magaha. When 2 words come together, it is Nara plus Ayana. It has to become Narayana. Panini has made it very clear. 4,500 rules in Sanskrit grammar put into 8 chapters called Ashtadhyayi. Only if you master those rules, you are called as a beginner. He gives so many rules. I'll give you one interesting word. Brahma Shabdam. Correct? Can anyone tell what is the spelling of Brahma in English? B-R-A-H-M-A. Pronounce it the way it is written. Brahma. Correct? When you pronounce it the way it is written, it is Brahma. Shouldn't it be B-R-A-M-H-A? If you pronounce it the way it is written, isn't it Brahma? It's not Brahma. Then why do we get this confusion? I tell you, there is one rule in Panini's Vyakaranam. Some of you may be conversant with Devanagari script. If you are not, don't worry, you are not losing anything. Now, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Ta, ta, da, da, na. Ta, ta, da, da, na. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. What are the last sounds? Nga, nya, na, na, ma. Correct. So Panini says, when ha comes together with the last sound, ha plus nga, nothing. Ha plus nya, nothing. Ha plus na. Okay. When ha plus na or ha plus ma, take ha plus ma, ih plus ma. When it comes, the resulting word will come up with a word. Panini says that time, see where the sound comes from. Suppose you pronounce it the way it is written, ba, ra, bra, half ha, ma. So brahma, then where does the sound come from? Brahma. So it comes from the epiglottis. So Panini says that is not the right way of saying it. It is very confusing to the listener. In such a case, write it one way, speak it in the reverse. So he says the sound has to come from the stomach. Now you put that ha sound next and ma sound first, Brahma. So your epiglottis is not deployed. So he says write it as ha and ma, but say it as ma and ha. Similarly, vanhi, we don't say vahni, we say vanhi, Brahma. So these are all rules in Pani. So Nara plus Ayana is not Narayana, it is Narayana. Narayana, Rana helbeku. So he called his son Narayana. Sir, was Ajamila so learned? He was not so learned. Just like that, it was a trend those days. So he called his son Narayana. Parents generally love their last child. If I've noticed my observation, they love their last child. Once while he was extremely sick, ill, and in his sleep, deep sleep, he went into a trance. At that point in time, in that pain, excruciating pain, he called out the name Narayana and went into that deep state. Two Yamadutas came. They had Damshtra, they had one noose. It's called Pasham. Pasham means it will be a rope. That is why Muthuswami Dikshita says, in my last days, I don't want Yama carrying the rope. Meenalochani, you come with your eyes which are the Pasham. Meenalochani, Pashamochani, Manini, Kadamba Banavasini, Nakshini, Mudam Dehi, Mechakangi. Now Yamadutas came. They had horns, one helmet, like the gladiators. They had that noose. They said, Ajao, hamare saath, Ajamil. Ajamila started. He knew he was fit for Narakam. Immediately, two very well dressed Shanka Chakra Gada Padma, two very handsome heroes came. They said, we are Vishnu Dutas, like air hostess, they had their name written. Vishnu Dut, ab kyo aaye ho? That is when Vishnu Duta said, he has to be taken to Vaikuntha. Ajamila said, see, no, I am not eligible for Vaikuntha, I am pretty sure I have not done anything good. ಖಂಡಿತ ಗೊತ್ತು ಸರ್, ನಾನು ವೈಕುಂಠ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕಾರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಬರಬೇಕು ಸರ್. The Yamaduta said, he has a point. He has done nothing worthwhile to come to Vaikuntha. That is when the Vishnu Duta said, he uttered the name Narayana. Ajamila said, hey, don't joke, that was my son's name. That was my son's name. I just said Narayana, not that Narayana, this Narayana. That time Vishnu Duta said, unknowingly or knowingly, whatever you have uttered, we have been commanded by Narayana to take down that as a punyam. They argued with the Dutas of Yama. You have no jurisdiction over a Vishnu Duta. We will take him to Vaikuntha. Ajamila thought. Without knowing the meaning of Narayana, without even thinking of him, if I have uttered that name once and the Vishnu Dutas are fighting my cause, how beautiful it would have been had my entire life been spent in Narayana Dhyana. See, when I say this, Bhattatri asks in Narayanam two pertinent questions. He asks, we have those questions, right? Sir, I recite Vishnu Sahasranamam, I do not know the meaning. Will it give me punyam? Will it give me the effect? Because I do not know. Bhuta bhavya bhavat prapuhu bhuta krit bhuta vrit bhavaha bhutatma bhutapavanaha bhutatma paramatma cha muktanam paramagati avyayaha purushaha sakshi. What does all this mean? I don't know. Vihaya sagatihi jyotihi suruchihi hudabhuk vibhuhu ravihi virochanaha suryaha savita ravilochanaha ananto hudabhuk bhokta sukhadaha naikalograja. What does it mean? We just say it mechanically. Anirvinna sadavarshi loka dhishtanamatpadaha sanatana tanavada kavira kavirabhyaha swasti 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 dakshina arodra kundali chakri vikram yojasanaha shabda. This is how we say. Correct? We don't know the meaning. Will it grant us the phalam? But the three answers in Narayaniya. See, I'm sure the paddhati will be quite the same. They'll be extremely well trained, very well qualified, meritorious medical practitioners in this very august gathering. I'm no one such, but I'm just trying to say, when a child is born in Bharatadesham, we have a list of vaccines that have to be administered. We have this MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, pentavalent vaccine, booster, polio, so on and so forth. I'm sure there will be a list of vaccines which the pediacs will give the children here as well. When you call that child a 6-month-old child, 1-year-old child, you have to give that vial, take that extract and give. There is now painless vaccine, painful. All is there, all of that has come. Before giving, will the pediac talk to the child? This is an attenuated vaccine. Trust me, this is the manufacturer. And when I'm going to administer this to you, this is going to take on your immune system. And you should. Will he give all these explanations? I will. Suruk. Ah! Next. India will have that bell. Next time will come. Just because the practitioner has not elucidated the significance of the vaccine, will the vaccine not work for the child? It will. Your endocrinologist may say, looking at your sugar levels, oh, you need a metformin and a glimepiride combination, or I have to put you on a vildagliptin. Will he say this is the half-life of vildagliptin? Will he ever say that this is how the pharmacokinetics of this particular molecule act? You trust in your doctor. He says, take this metformin combination, take this, that's all. Just because you do not know what metformin looks like, how many amines are there here, how many attachments are there to the benzene ring, it doesn't mean that the molecule will not act on you. That is why Bhattatri says, even without knowing the meaning of Narayana, when you utter, yathaushadam, like how a medicine will give you the effect, Narayana Namam will give you the effect. Yathagni rethamsi yathaushadam naha, says Bhattatri Narayani. What does the Namam do? It will help you burn your previous papam. That we have committed many, that we know. Aparada sahasra bhajanam. It will help burn some. How will it burn, sir, when I do not know the meaning? See, imagine a person who's, what is it? Ivy League. 4 Ivy League universities, he has done 3 PhDs. If that person puts his finger into blazing fire, will the fire burn him or not? He's from Ivy League. Will it burn him or not? It will burn, right? Whoever you are, whatever you are, Agni will do its dharmam of burning. Whether you know the meaning or not, if you utter Narayana's name, it will do its job of burning your sins. Yathagni retamsi yathaushadam naha, says Bhattati. So Ajamila cried out Narayana's name. He knew the effect of it. Then when he came back to his conscious state, he went to Haridwar and spent his rest of the days in a very nice fashion and went to Vaikuntham. That is why Purandaradasa, in the Devarnama, any Kannada speaking astikas here? Kannada knowing speaking? Nan Kaveri Kedala. Purandaradasa says, Krishna, I've been uttering your name selflessly, dedication, with full absolute dedication I've been uttering your name, but you don't seem to pay any attention to my cries. But you immediately came when Ajamila called you. How much did Ajamila pay? When Gajendra called you in that end of that lake, Adimula, you came. Ajamilanu Narayananu karidare Narayana bandante. Sabhayalli Draupadi karadare Shri Krishna bandante. When Gajendra called you and you came, how much did he give? Kariraja yeshtu kottano. How much did he pay you? Helbidu nanu payment ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅವನು ಕರೆದಿದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ನಾನು ಕರೆದಿದ್ರೆ ಬರಲ್ವಾ? When that little boy said sarvatra asti sada asti, you came as Narasimha. Prahlada kanakavanu yeshtu kottanu. How much gold did he pay you? Is Ajamila your relative? Ajamilanu annano, Vibhishananu tammano, Nija Rukmangada ninage, Mommagano, adarilla idarenu naninage, Anyano, Nyayavallave tande, Purandara Vithala. Purandaradasa's conversation with Krishna will bring tears. See, if you know Devarnama, the level of, we cannot reach Purandaradasa, but we can at least aspire. See, at one place Dasa says, Neenanta Swami Yenabuntu Ninagilla. See, you are so handsome, you are so merciful, Bhagavan, but there is a difference between you and me. I have somebody as precious as you. You don't have someone who is as precious as you, what I am. Neenante Swami, Ninnante Swami, Yenaguntu. I have. Ninagilla. It's a beautiful conversation. Learn languages. As many languages as you learn, Bhakti literature becomes accessible to you. You learn Kannada. Purandaradasa, Kanakadasa, Vijay Vittaladasa will be at your doorstep. Telugu, Kshetraya, Bhadrachala Ramadas. Bhadrachala Ramadas is very sarcastic. When he was given lashes by Tanasha in Golconda, he says, Rama, despite me praying, you have not been answering. You sit on Bhadragiri with a beautiful emerald pendant. Don't think your father-in-law gave this to you. I gave this. Ikshvaku kula tilaka ikanaina palukave Ramachandra. ఆ పదకములకు పట్టే పదివేలవరహాలు రామచంద్ర. నీ మామ ఆజనక మహారాజు పంపేణ. Did your father-in-law send this? He did nothing. I gave. Release me from the jail. I've never been wanting to ask you, Rama, but you're forcing me. See, these conversations are beautiful. So, Ajamilopakhyanam is a beautiful reminder of Nama Sankirtanam. Jaya Janaki Ramana, Jaya Vibhishana Sarana, Jaya Sarvaruha Charana, Jaya Dhira Karuna, Jaya Jaya Sarvaloka Sharanya, Jaya Divya Karunya, Jaya Divya Lavanya, Jaya Jagat Punya. Sharanu Sharanu Surendra Sannuda Sharanu Shri Sati Vallabha Sharanu Rakshasa Gava Samhara Sharanu Venkatanayaka Swami Shri Raghunayaka Sharanu Sharanu Hare. Nama Sankirtanam, simple. See, for this Bhagavatam and all, you have to by heart verses. Nama Sankirtanam, you have to repeat the same Nama. Easy. Simple way. Kali Yugadalli Hari Namavananidare Kulakotigalu Udharisuvevu Ranga. So, Harinama Kirtanam. Malayala Astikas here? No. Have you heard of Harinama Kirtanam? Omgaramaya Purul Moonai Pirinyudane Angaramaya Tindu Tandanni Sakshiyad. Beautiful Harinama Kirtanam. So Ekadashi in itself is called Harivasaram. From Dashami Ratri till Dwadashi morning, you should not eat anything. That is the only rule of Ekadashi. Sir, Ekadashi can only metformin, vildagliptin. Immediately our rishis are very merciful. Karunika. They say, okay, take fruits. All berries. Dragon fruit and the fruit in the fruit. So fruits alone will increase the fructose level. What should I do? Then the rishis say, then eat tiffin. Have idli. Yogambal Mami tells you how to grind them. So, have idli. For idli, what should I have? See, idli alone cannot. Ekakina rameta. Shastram says, Ekakina rameta. That alone will not suffice. So, you need Tattvatrayam, which is chutney, podi. So that's what Ekadashi has become Dwadashi. There was one person who was practicing Ekadashi sincerely. His name was Ambarisha. Ambarisha Maharaja was performing Ekadashi. You get two Ekadashis. Now the Ekadashi has taken avatars. Have you known of Ekadashi avatar? It's called intermittent fasting. If I say intermittent fasting, everybody, oh yeah, intermittent fasting is really good. When I say Ekadashi, you know, you need to package your sentences. Scintillate, you minuscule asteroid in the vast expanse of the splendid sky. Oh, he's spoken something great. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Instead of saying twinkle, twinkle, little star, use some of the words from Tharuri in English. Scintillate, you minuscule asteroid in the vast expanse of the splendid sky. Just push your tummy slightly forward with the broken specs and you can speak in his English. So, the point is, Ambarisha practiced Ekadashi Vratam sincerely. The day next to Ekadashi is called Dwadashi, and the first meal of Dwadashi, if you fasted for Ekadashi, there's a prerequisite. So the first meal of Dwadashi is called Parana. In Sanskritam it is called Parana. In Tamil we Tamilize it Paranai. Parana Karanamnaha. So there was Parana. So this king called Ambarisha, he practiced Ekadashi Vratam. Towards the end of 1 year, at one particular Ekadashi, after finishing Dwadashi morning, 6 o'clock, Durvasa appeared at his doorstep. Who was Durvasa? The son of Atri and Anasuya. The parents couldn't stay with him. Nobody could stay. Vasam is stay. Durvasa means nobody can stay with him. Durvasa. Angry for very petty things he'll get. That is why in colloquial language also, Mama the Durvasa. So, this Durvasa, he appeared at the doorstep of Ambarisha and said, why don't I have food with you on Dwadashi? Because on Dwadashi it is often said, feed someone. On other days also you have to go to Dwadashi. Dwadashi is a special day. So he said, why don't I have food with you, the first meal? Ambarisha said, I'm honored to have Durvasa with me. Durvasa said, I'll go take bath in the river waters and come. He was to return in 15 minutes. That's what is needed for his morphology to go take the dip. He took his sweet own time. He used all possible shower gel. Time was getting over. For Parana, you have to consume food. So what Ambarisha thought was, let me have food with Durvasa. At least let me consume tulasi water to break my fast. While he was consuming in that gap, Durvasa came. He got extremely angry looking at Ambarisha. You know what Bhattatri says? He gives a name to Durvasa. He says, Pararthi Shilaha. Arti means distress, trouble. Pararthi means the one who derives pleasure in giving distress to others. Pararthi Shilaha. Tatra taparana dine bhavadarchanante Durvasa sasya munina bhavanam prapede bhoktum vritascha nripena Pararthi Shilaha mandam jagama yamunam niyama vidhasyan. He got angry with Ambarisha for having gone astray from his promise, not adhering to his promise. he took some of his hairs and performed a Vyabhichara Yagam. I generally don't discuss such things in the Upanyasam. It is not required as well for all of you, but this is called Vyabhichara Yagam. Vyabhichara Yagam means those which have been approved for black magic, occult. I don't talk much about when we have Narayana for protection, why should we talk? The only black magic I know is Krishna. He's black, he's the magic. No other black magic we need to know. But he performed a Vyabhichara Yagam and created a Kritya. Kritya means, you must have seen in Tamil movies, Adiyal. Soda bottle Sega, Kabali, Cutting Ravi. You pay them 200 rupees, they will go to Valluvar Kotam and protest. So, a Kritya was created, and that Kritya's input statement was go and attack Ambarish. So this Kritya started on its way. It was stopped by Sudarshana because Sudarshana came for protecting Ambarish. Sudarshana's effect was so high that it changed the mind of Kritya, and Kritya started chasing Durvasa. So Kritya started chasing Durvasa. Sudarshana started. No, he did not know where to go. He went to Karya Vaikuntham and asked Bhagavan, your Chakrayudham is behind me, please control Chakra. That is when Vishnu said, you have a wrong notion about me. People think that devotees are subservient to me. No, I am subservient to my devotees. Aham bhakta paradhino hyasvat tantra iva dvija sadhubir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta jana priyaha. So my devotees are to whom I am subservient. Vijitatma, Vijayatma, Satkirtir, Chinna Samshayaha. Ketipattamani? Evade? Sahasranamam. Endana sari. You are asking us, SSVT devotees, etra oru intelligent ariya. Enikku ariya? Samshayam. So in Vijitatma, Vidheyatma, the one who is commanded by his devotees is called Vijitatma, Vidheyatma. So Durvasa realized his mistake, came back to Ambarisha and said, Ambarisha, I have done a grave mistake. I should have not attacked you. Hum dono abhi friends ho jayenge. Ek photo aap de do. That is when Ambarisha praised to Sudarshana and said, Sudarshana, please go back, don't hurt him. Sudarshana namastubhyam sahasrarachyuta priyaha sarvastra ghatin vipraya swasti bhuya idaspate. So Ambarisha Vrittantam is a beautiful reminder of Ekadashi Vrata Mahatmyam and how we should not hurt Bhagavan's devotees like how Durvasa hurt and thereby got affected. There was a great rishi called Mrikandu. Mrikandu prayed to Bhagavan, and Shiva's grace, he had a son. Very intelligent, extremely devout, but had a very short lifespan, called Markandeya. Markandeya ni varuvaya, Markandeya. That Markandeya, in Shaiva Siddhantam, this kshetram is of extreme importance called Tirukkalayur. It is near Mayavaram. There in the state of Tamil Nadu, if you have time, do visit. Shiva is called Amrita Ghateshwara. Parvati there is super famous. She is called Abhirama Sundari. Udikindra Sengadir Buchittilagam Unarvudayor Madikindra Manikam Madulam Podu Malarkamalai Tudikindra Mengadi Mengani Kungumattoyamenna Vidikindra Meni Abhirami Yandan Virutunaye Tunayum Turundaivamum Pecha Tayum Surdigalim Padayum Kurundum Padigonda Verum Padimala Punganayum Karpu Chilayum and Pashangushamum Karumbum Villum Shet ஆத்தாளை எங்கள் அபிராம வல்லியை அண்டமெல்லாம் பூத்தாளை மாதுளம்பூ நிறத்தாளை புவியடங்க காத்தாளை ஐங்கடை பாசாங்குஷமும் கரும்பும் வில்லும் சேர்த்தாளை முக்கண்ணியை தொழுவோர்க்கு ஒரு தீங்கில்லையே. So that is the kshetram of Markandeya. Markandeya was extremely intelligent, devout to Shiva. One day while he was worshipping Shiva, he was so engrossed in Shiva Bhakti that he embraced the lingam. And his lifespan being very short, he was to die at the completion of 16 years. So, Yama came on a buffalo and threw that pasham. By mistake, it fell on Shiva. And when he tried pulling, Shiva emerged with his Trishula, saying that, Yama, if you trouble my devotee, I will kill you. Yama said, what is this? You only gave me appointment order. You only said when the time comes, the time aayega. Apan ka time aayega, usko nikalna hai. Any Mumbaikars here? Apan ka time. So Apan, I came. Now you are, aisa nahi kar sakte hain Shivji. Shiva said, yes, I have only told you to come behind such people when there is the right opportune time comes. What is the rule? Sir, he should have completed 16. Now I hereby confer a boon on this Markandeya that he shall remain perennially 16. Endrum 16. He will sing Sindura Puve. So, he remained 16. Now, this is equivalent to immortality because you never die. In a superficial level, it may seem like a big boon, living permanently. But imagine somebody lives like this permanently. You go to a house, yarana you 7 தலைமுறைக்கு முன்னாடி பேர் நல்லா போவும் மாட்டேங்குது. யார் இவர்னே தெரியல. என் மாமனாருடைய தாத்தாவோட See, you will become a big burden when you keep living perennially. Nobody will praise you. Right? We may love I have extreme love for my grandparents who brought me up. But until the Jivatma is in that body, it has value. Once a Jivatma leaves in the showcase, will we keep our party? We will immediately go to the crematorium. That body will be put like cookies. And it will come out as ashes. Tata enga irukka bottle Ovaltine bottle. This body that we are concentrating on so much will come out in one Ovaltine bottle. So here, Markandeya was living perennially, perpetually. He did not want to live any further. He wanted to get moksha. He put an application to Shiva. Shiva said, this department is different. Arogyam bhaskaradicchet shriyamichet hudashanat ishvaraha jnanamanvichet mokshamicchet janardanat. Moksham giving capacity is with Narayana. If you go to BBMP, BDA and all, sir, nam kade illa sir, this file ನೀವು ಆ ಕಡೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಮನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾವು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ. So you go, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi, one department after the other, we'll go. So he said, pray to Narayana. So Markandeya came to a forest infested with tulasi plants. It was called Tulasi Vanam. Current date is called Uppiliyappan Kovil. There he spotted an abandoned girl who was the reincarnation of Bhumi and Mahalakshmi. He called her Bhuma. Bhuma assisted her father who was into austerities by cooking at a very young age, but she did not know what proportion of salt to put. So the father said, no, even my dietitian has said, don't use salt. Salt use mat karo beti Bhuma. Seri tandai. One day an old man came. He was 1 foot on the grave. He came. He said, I am hunting for a girl. Immediately, Markandeya asked, are you looking for an alliance for your grandson? No, for me. So he was worried to ask this man and tell him that you are not fit to marry my daughter. So he immediately called his daughter and said, Bhuma! Tata vandirukka. Do you like this Tata? Bhuma came and she said, I'm in love with this man. How do you like him? For her alone, this man gave her a darshanam as a yuva, bell-bottoms pant. So Markandeya said, she doesn't know in what proportion she has to put salt to food. This man said, that is what my dietitian also says, don't use salt. Finally, he realized that the old man was none but Narayana, gave her in marriage to him. He is called Uppilappan, Lavanavarjita Bhagavan. Then he went to a kshetram called Tirucherai, propitiating Narayana for moksham. Narayana sent him to Uttarakhand by the foothills of Naranarayana Parvatam by the banks of river Alakananda. So Markandeya set up an ashramam, was into austerities and prayed to Narayana. Narayana appeared and said, "What do you want, Markandeya?" Markandeya said, "See, I want to see how pralayam will be, dissolution. They say there will be dissolution, pralayam, I want to see a glimpse of it." Narayana said, "Close your eyes." He closed. "Open your eyes." As he opened, those large Naranarayana Parvatam with rocks and boulders hit on each other. The trees were uprooted. The swelling of the river Alakananda happened. At one point in time, they all looked like Pralayarnavam, the ocean of deluge. The TV and the refrigerator given in the last election was also floating. Pralayarnavam, darkness everywhere. Onnum devum ulagumattum yadumillavannu naanmugan thannodu devar ulagodu uyir padaithan kuntram pol manimala needu thirukkurugur adanul ninra vaadippiran nirkam achai deivam naadudire, says Nammalvar. Darkness, envelope, there was not a single ray of light, hope. Markandeya was swimming. At a distance he saw some tree, the only thing that managed to survive. He went close by that small islet formed in the deluge waters. He saw a tree, and below the shade of a tree was a beautiful Vatadalam, Vatapatram. And on that was a beautiful boy who was as resplendent as a blue stone sapphire. Indra Neela Mani Sanni Papa Ghana Chandra Surya Nayana Prameya Bhagindra Janaka Sakalesha Shubra Nagendra Sayana Shamana Vairi Sannuta Jagdananda Karaka Indra Neela. He saw this boy. This boy was moving this way and that way. Had the child moved a few more inches, he will fall into the waters. Markandeya said, take care, oh my little boy. Whose child are you? Tell me, who are you? The boy took his toe and started sucking it. I'm sure the mothers here will relate to their children. Children too do this. The boy started sucking his toe. There was a great Vagyakara in the 16th century called Narayana Tirtha. He gave a very famed work called Krishna Leela Tarangini. In one of the Tarangams, he asks a question. Krishna sucked his toe. Why? Isn't that unhygienic? Why did he do that? For that he answers in his Samskrita Tarangam. It seems every devotee who goes to Krishna praises Krishna's feet and says, your feet is like Adirasam. Your feet is like Badusha. Your feet is like Jahangir. Your feet is like Chakkai. Have you heard of Chakka variety? It is jackfruit halwa. Mere darshanam of that will give you moksha. So much sugar. So, Chakkai, Alapradaman. Your feet looks like Putarekulu. Your feet looks like Bandar Laddu, Kakinada Kaja, Puran Poli, Mathura Peda. All dishes of Gujarat, because you don't have to make sweets in Gujarat. Or sweet. Kadi, Kadikadadum, Kadiyum. All are sweet. So every devotee ends up praising Krishna's feet. So Krishna wondered, is my foot so sweet? He wanted to taste it and started sucking it. Seems says so this boy sucked. Immediately somebody asked me, how do you know he sucked? I don't know. TSR Gokul sang told me. Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam vatasya patrasya puteshayanam balam mukundam manasasmarami. That is when Markandeya asked, oh, you're Narayana, I can see Lakshmi. Narayana, he said, and this is in, whatever I am narrating, is in Dwadasha Skandam, 12th canto. What did the boy do? He blew the air in. Markandeya went into the boy's mouth and started sliding on the esophagus. saw the liver one side, saw the islets of Langerhans, the pancreas on the other, the gallbladder with or without the stones on the other, intestine below, the diaphragm above, the stomach with the gastric juices on one side, there is a rib cage above, the lungs above, the kidney behind. He must have seen that. Technically, if he has gone into the boy, he didn't. Bhagavatam says the moment he went into the boy, he saw Naranarayana Parvatam, Alakananda flowing, Ashramam, and he saw himself, Markandeya, meditating. He was able to see himself and the scene. So the answer given by Bhagavan to Markandeya was, when your knowledge is limited, when your tapo shakti is absolutely very low, do not aspire to know what I as Parabrahman does with Srishti and Samhara. It is beyond your realm and scope of understanding. Keep your understanding to your own sustenance and not understand what is happening in Srishti. This is beyond your understanding. First, do your elementary level. Don't get into Srishti and Sthiti Rahasyam. I will take care of it. The moment Markandeya got this quintessential knowledge intact, he closed his eyes. Again, he was back to the ashramam from the boy's stomach. So, Markandeyopakyanam in Dvadasha Skandam tells, Manacharya used to state, you want to know about Srishti Sthiti Samharam. You take the nest constructed by a sparrow. You will not be able to disentangle it. You will not be able to get it rid of its knots. A small sparrow's nest is giving you sleepless nights. Why should I go to sparrow? In plastic cover somebody will put knots. You can never open those knots. You will try opening that, then you will tear. Narasimhavataram will come, you will tear somewhere. One plastic knot we cannot get, and you want to open the knots of Brahma Srishti and understand him. How is it possible? So, beginning with Daksha Yajnam, Jadabharata Charitram, Dhruva Charitram, Ajamilopakyanam, Ambarisha Charitram and Markandeyopakyanam, we have covered 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 12th skandams. Tomorrow, day 3 is extremely important. We will cover 3 topics. First, Narasimhavataram, Gajendra Moksham and Tripura Samharam. Tripura Samharam is the last few sargas of Saptama Skandam. Day 4, Thursday, we will have Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Vamana, Trivikramavataram and Krishna Jananam. Day 5, day 6, completely Krishna Leela. Day 7, Rukmini Kalyanam. So tomorrow being Narasimhavataram, please be present. Day after tomorrow is Krishna Jananam. Please be present. Of course, a few of them did express, stating that in the middle you speak in Tamil, sir, those lines we are not able to understand. A few lines you are speaking in Telugu, we are not able to understand. Why do I even utter those lines? Because English is just a link language. That's all. But if I have to give a decent lecture, I cannot not quote Alvars in Tamil. I cannot not quote Tyagaraja in Telugu. It is not an English language lecture. I cannot end up translating those lines. Pachaima Malai Pol Meni Pavalavai Kamala Chenkan is an emotion. Oh, the one with the hue of the emerald mountain. Oh, the one whose lips are akin to the paste of the corals from the reefs. The one who doesn't betray his devotees with his lotus petal-like hands. The one who is accessible to... You wouldn't even know what I'm saying. It will look off from the Stratford of Avon of Shakespearean era. So if I say Nannu Brovamani Cheppave, Sitamma Talli Nannu Brovamani Cheppave, it is not equivalent to, oh Sita, the daughter of Janaka, forgive the sins that I have committed in my past and speak on behalf of me to Rama. No. Sita. So that emotion comes with Bharatiya. See, that's true. See, for example, if you have to speak about Mark Antony's speech, friends, Romans and countrymen, I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him, the evil that men do lives after them, the good is oft interred with their bones, so let it be with Caesar, the noble Brutus hath told me Caesar was ambitious. That gives you a different feeling. Mitraha, Roma Janaha, Idani Mama Bhashyeshu, Kriteshu, how will it sound? Every language has its style, every language has an emotion. So English is just a link language. Use those sentences that I'm trying to say. Suppose you're a Telugu speaking person, I'm speaking 2 lines in Tamil. Take efforts to learn Tamil. Say, in 6 months from now, I will learn Tamil. You can. If you're a Tamil speaking person, learn Kannada. Say, next 6 months, I will spend 10 minutes every day. Plenty of YouTube videos. Learn. When you learn that language, don't think the language becomes accessible. Literature becomes accessible. When Gajendra Moksham is said, Potanna Alavaikunta Purammulo Nagarilo Nasaudambudapala Mandara Kusuma Saraprantendu Kantopalotpala Paryanka Rama Vinodiyadagu Vikhala Nagendramanu Guyalinchi Samrambhiyai, says Potanna. What a flow he comes with. So he says how Vishnu jumped out of his Paryankasana to help. When you learn Telugu, Potanna comes close to you, Nannaya comes close to you, Krishna Devaraya comes close to you with Amukta. So my lecture deploys English as just a link language and not as the base language. I will be speaking in Hindi, immaterial of whether you sport a shirt, Hindi theriyadu padda. I am least bothered. So, I may be a Tamil speaking person, but I don't echo the thoughts of some of the useless tinsels of our political leaders who show disgust for languages. No, every language is beautiful. The more you mock at somebody's language, you will never learn that language. Ennada, Raskala, Murugana, why? Learn Tamil. Ek gaon mein kisan Raghu Tata. Yettana varshada Raghu Tata ve chutu. Raghu Tata ipo Kullu Tata ve aitu. Evlo nadu Tata varkar. Learn that language. We have, of course, my Hindi may not match the Hindi of Harivansh Rai Bachchan. That's okay. My Telugu may not match a Garika party. My Malayalam may not match an Udit Chaitanya. That's okay. But learn. So ours is a potpourri or a melange of languages with English as a link language. This is how it will be. Day 3, tomorrow, Narasimhavatar. Hope to see you on Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahimmanishaha Gobrahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Datre Karuna Sudhabdhe Kamvari Divyam Yudha Satkaraya Vatalaya Disha Namo Namaste Narayana 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 Narayana. Ananthapadmanabha Swami Mahotsavam is being conducted by the temple in August. Please be a very active part of the Utsavam. And we also have Jnanananda Seva Samajam conducting a Nama Sankirtanam towards the end of August, and in the 1st of September in the very premises. Be a part of it. Aim for Seva is conducting a beautiful dance production on Narayanim in the month of September. Please be a part of that production as well. And my book is available on www.giriusa.com. Please buy your copies. I think in a fortnight's time, Giri should be able to post that through USPS. Is my abbreviation right? USPS. So you should be receiving your book in